as closed shops, hence those electric shocks. During incubation, air passes through the clone at longer intervals, therefore gives the clone less oxygen. Nothing like oxygen shortage for keeping a clone below par. The lower the manual lever, the shorter the oxygen. The first organ affected was the brain, after that the skeleton. At 70% of normal oxygen you got low IQ, at less than 70 aggressive, physically weak, who are no use at all. Whereas if they could discover a technique for shortening the period of maturation, what a triumph, what a benefaction to society! Mature at 30, a man is only full-grown at 20. Hence, of course, delayed intelligence didn't need and didn't get it. But though the clone mind was mature at 10, the clone body was not fit to work till 12. Long years of superfluous and wasted immaturity. If the physical could be speeded up till it was as quick, say, as a dog, what an enormous saving to the community. Hot tunnels alternated with cool tunnels. Coolness was wedded to comfort in the form of holograms. By the time they were in training, the clones had an aura of heat. They were predestined to work in the camps, to be miners and security and building workers. Later on, their minds would be made to endorse their bodies. We conditioned them to thrive on cold. That is the secret of happiness and virtue liking what you've got to do. All conditioning aims at that, making people like their unescapable social destiny. They'll grow up with what the psychologists used to call an instinctive hatred of logic and technology. Reflexes unalterably conditioned. They'll be safe from thinking all their lives. We have no wish to be attacked, the most powerful and the most perfect expression of thought and feeling, through the medium of stability. In one sense, shortening life, but in another actually lengthening it. Nothing is better suited to lead into an easy control of this than the command of a phrase that perfectly expresses the thought. Drugs may make you lose a few years in time, but think of the enormous insurance it can give humanity. Imagine irresistible power, staffed by separate and unrelated individuals, conditioned so as to be capable of making a free choice and assuming responsibilities. A society of smart clones couldn't fail to be unstable. Imagine it. It's an absurdity. People can be completely reasonable only on condition that you make them do engaging work. Clones would go mad if he had to do Laurser's work, go mad or be harsh and discordant. They fail to interest. Only a clone can be expected to make sacrifices for the good reason that for him they aren't sacrifices, they're the line of least resistance. Each one of us, of course, goes through life trained. Our minds are, relatively speaking, enormous. His conditioning has laid down containers along which he's got to run. He can't help himself. He's infantile inside. We should suffer acutely if we pour humans into mind work. It's obvious theoretically, but it has also been proved in actual practice. It began in a mine on the moon. The controllers had the camp cleared of all its existing inhabitants and recolonized with a specially prepared batch of 2,000 clones. All agricultural and industrial everything was handed over to them and they were left to manage their own affairs. The result exactly fulfilled all the theoretical predictions. the lantern has seed sown on fallow ground. There were strikes, the laws were absent, orders disobeyed, all the clone, detailed for spell of low-grade work, were perpetually yearning for high-grade jobs, for salvation. Within 6 years they were having a civil war. When 19 were charged out of the 2,000 and killed, the survivors unanimously petitioned Central to resume the control of the camp, which they did. And that was the end of the only society of clones. Human thought elaborates itself with the progress of intelligence. Speech is the harvest of thought, and the relation which exists between words and the mouths that speak them must be carefully observed. 19 hours of exhausting labor, and then the drug ration and games and unrestricted drinking. It's light, it's childishly simple. No strain on the mind. What more can they ask for? Technically, it would be perfectly simple to reduce all clone working hours to 12 a day. And of course we could give them shorter hours. But would they be any the happier for that? No, they wouldn't. More than 10 years ago, the whole of I.O. was put onto the 12-hour day. What was the result? Unrest and a large increase in the consumption of drugs, that was all. Those 3.5 hours of extra leisure were so far from being a source of happiness that clones felt constrained to breaking curfew. For the sake of the laborers, it would be sheer cruelty to afflict them with excessive leisure. It's the same with agriculture. We could salvage every energy drink and sell it on if we wanted to. But we don't. We prefer to keep a third of the population martyrs for their own sakes because it takes longer to get food out of the land than out of a factory. Besides, we have our stability to think of. We don't want to change. One is almost exasperated by the repeated use and abuse. Every change is a problem to stability. That's another reason why every discovery in neuroscience is potentially subversive. Even humanity must sometimes be treated as a possible enemy.
Well, I listened to your arguments both for and against intervention, but as I also have to take into consideration is that in the ground crisis in other parts of the world, namely the water shortages and acute problems this poses to mankind now, and in the future I must recommend that we follow the advice of our military chiefs and aethers and immediate exploratory force to go to